Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, and members of the community. I am Commander Dan Whitmer. I will be going over the Oxnard Police Department's military equipment use report for the calendar year of 2023. Recommendation that the City Council, number one, receive the Police Department's annual report concerning its inventory and use of military equipment in accordance with Government Code Sections 7070 through 7075. Number two, approve the renewal of the City of Oxnard's Ordinance 3014, which is codified in the Oxnard City Code Section 2-112 as the city's military equipment policy as required by Government Code Section 7071E1. Number three, approve the continuing authorization for the funding, acquisition, and use of the military equipment by the Oxnard Police Department's military equipment inventory as required by Government Code Section 7071E2. And number four, approve the acquisition and use of the following military equipment items. A, 1 Transcend tactical robotic device. B, 19 40mm projectile launchers. C, 22 223 caliber rifles. And D, 560 40mm projectile rounds and 8 sponge round training kits. Background. Assembly Bill 481. This was signed by Governor Newsom on September 30th, 2021. Concern over the militarization of police departments in the United States, concern over the use of surplus military equipment, and improved transparency. This defines certain equipment as military equipment. It's codified in Government Code Sections 7070 through 7075. It went into effect on January 1st of 2022, and law enforcement agencies must meet certain requirements to use equipment defined in these codes. Background. Defense Logistics Agency's 1033 program, formerly the Defense Reutilization Marketing Office program known as DERMO equipment. The Oxnard Police Department ceased procuring equipment from these programs years ago. Equipment defined as military equipment. Although defined as military equipment, it is not necessarily manufactured, intended for use, or used by the military. Most of the equipment defined in these codes has been utilized by the Oxnard Police Department for decades. Many of the items are not weapons, and a majority of the weapons are less lethal weapons. Examples of military equipment under AB 481. Command vehicles, armored vehicles, unmanned aerial vehicles, also known as drones, less lethal shotguns, 40mm less lethal impact weapons, chemical agents, and patrol rifles. Should be noted, this is not a comprehensive list. AB 481 requirements. Law enforcement agencies must obtain approval from their applicable governing body, the City Council, via the adoption of a military equipment use policy by ordinance before the law enforcement agency may fund, acquire, or use such equipment. A public meeting to discuss this policy was held 30 days prior to City Council approving. On June 7th, 2022, the Oxnard City Council adopted the Oxnard Police Department's military use policy, Policy Section 708. AB 481 requirements. The policy went into effect July 6th of 2022. Policy must be available to the public. We have included 2 links to those sites. Policy must include the department's military equipment inventory. City Council must vote annually to reapprove this policy. Departments must provide an annual military equipment use report, and the department must have a community meeting. The Oxnard Police Department's website has these policies available to the public at www.oxnardpd.org. Under the Transparency section, there is a tab, AB 481, Military Equipment, where these policies can be located. Military Equipment Report. The Military Equipment Report must contain the following information: a summary of how the military equipment was used and the purpose of its use, a summary of any complaints or concerns received concerning the military equipment, the results of any internal audits, information about violations of the military equipment use policy, and any action taken in response. Military Equipment Use Report continued. The total annual cost for each type of military equipment, the quantity possessed for each type of military equipment, and if the law enforcement agency intends to acquire additional military equipment in the next year, and the quantity sought for each type of military equipment. This report covers the calendar year of 2023. 2023 Military Equipment Use Report. The following slides include highlights from the Oxnard Police Department's 2023 Military Equipment Use Report that was provided to City Council. There were no complaints related to the military equipment in 2023, nor were there any violations of policy related to the equipment. California Government Code 7070C1, Unmanned, Remotely Piloted, Powered Aerial or Ground Vehicles. The Oxnard Police Department has used unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, since 2019. These vehicles provide a wide range of defined missions. All Oxnard Police Department drone pilots are FAA certified. UAV missions are documented in a flight log. No complaints were received regarding the use of UAVs. UAVs were used 115 times during this reporting period. California Government Code 7070C1, breakdown of UAS deployments in 2023. Field operations support for patrol and area searches, 25 times. Tactical assists for SWAT-related callouts and search warrants, 42 times. Crime scene documentation, 20 times. Special event support, 12 times. Area mapping, 9 times. And training, 7 times, for a total of 115 times. California Government Code 7070C1, Unmanned Ground Robotic Vehicles. Small battery-operated remote-controlled vehicles. The SWAT team possesses one of these vehicles. This has the ability to locate and communicate with suspects. A search warrant must be obtained prior to using this vehicle to enter a residence. Training to operate is provided by SWAT officers. No ongoing costs were associated with this item, and this equipment was not used during this reporting period. California Government Code 7070C3, mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles or armored personnel carriers. The department owns 2 Lenco Bearcat armored vehicles. These provide ballistic protection during high-risk incidents. No weapons are attached to either of these vehicles. It gives officers the ability to safely utilize de-escalation techniques. These are also used by the fire department's Tactical Emergency Medical Services, also known as TEMS. The only ongoing costs are preventative maintenance and fuel, which is approximately $1,100 per unit per year. These were used on 41 occasions in 2023. 9 responses to armed subjects and assists for patrol officers, 22 times for search warrants, and 10 times for community engagement events. There were no complaints received during this reporting period. California Government Code 7070C3, attached is a picture of our newest Lenco Bearcat. California Government Code 7070C3, this is a helicopter picture of our older Bearcat being used to rescue residents out of their residence where an armed subject had shot at an officer and then forced his way into their home. The residents did not have any relation to the suspect. California Government Code 7070C4, tracked armored vehicles that provide ballistic protection and utilize a track system. The Oxnard Police Department does not own this type of vehicle. The Ventura County Sheriff's Department owns a Rook. This is a small ballistic caterpillar device. It mitigates risks to SWAT officers while performing dangerous tasks during high-risk incidents. The Sheriff's Department makes this equipment available to the Oxnard Police Department. This was used on one occasion during this reporting period of 2023. There are no costs to the city associated with its use, and no complaints were received. California Government Code 7070C4, attached is a picture of the Rook and how it is commonly used by SWAT teams. California Government Code 7070C5. Command and control vehicles that are either built or modified to facilitate the operational control and direction of public safety units. The department currently owns 13 of these vehicles. 2 are large command vehicles, 2 are sprinter vans, 1 DUI enforcement trailer, and 8 Ford Explorer sport utility vehicles. The Ford Explorers are used on a daily basis. The large command vehicle was used 10 times in 2023. The UAS van was used 85 times. The traffic van was used 12 times. After the initial purchase cost, the only ongoing costs for fuel and maintenance is approximately $63,400. No complaints regarding the use of these vehicles were received. California Government Code 7070C5, attached are some of the pictures of our command vehicles, which you can see are motorhomes, and 2 pictures of the Ford Explorers. These are labeled as military equipment because of the drawers that pull out of the rear and the whiteboards that are on there. California Government Code 7070C7, battering rams, slugs, and breaching apparatuses that are explosive in nature. The SWAT team has 2 shotguns designed for breaching. The shotguns were purchased approximately 20 years ago. All required training is provided by department personnel. There are no ongoing costs associated with this equipment. These items were not used during this reporting period outside of training. California Government Code 7070C10, specialized firearms and ammunition of less than .50 caliber, including assault weapons as defined in sections 30.510 and 30.515 of the Penal Code. 223 caliber rifles. Only officers who have received post-training may carry the .223 caliber rifles. Officers must qualify and requalify on an annual basis. Rifles are only used when circumstances indicate the use of lethal force may become necessary. The department spent approximately $17,787.50 on ammunition and maintenance. California Government Code 7070C10. Ongoing training and maintenance is provided by the department range safety unit personnel. These weapons were not fired at anyone during this reporting period. California Post defines the intentional pointing of a firearm at a member of the public as a reportable use of force. All reportable uses of force are investigated and tracked by the Professional Standards Unit. During this reporting period, rifles were pointed on 65 occasions. The department did not receive any complaints regarding the use of the rifles. California Government Code 7070C10, precision .308 caliber rifles. In addition to .223 caliber rifles, the Oxnard Police Department also possesses 11 .308 caliber precision rifles. 4 of these will be sold during 2024. These are used only by a select few officers assigned to the SWAT team. Officers assigned to these rifles receive extensive training and qualify on a monthly basis. These rifles were not fired other than during training. The department did not receive any complaints. California Government Code 7070C12. Flashbang grenades and explosive breaching tools, tear gas, and pepper balls, excluding standard service-issued handheld pepper spray. Flashbangs, also known as light sound diversionary devices. The SWAT team uses these, and it provides officers with a method to distract violent suspects. It significantly reduces risk to officers when dealing with violent suspects. Officers authorized to use these devices must attend a post-certified course provided by department personnel. These devices were used 16 times in 2023. It gained suspects' compliance on 13 of the 16 occasions, eliminating the necessity for any additional force tactics. The department did not receive any complaints. California Government Code 7070C12. On this slide, it shows a picture of a flashbang we have on the right-hand side and a picture in the middle of the device going off. This device produces a loud sound and a bright flash. California Government Code 7070C12, tear gas. The SWAT team has chemical agents more commonly known as tear gas. These are less lethal tools used to safely compel barricaded suspects out of vehicles or structures. This is used during high-risk incidents to mitigate risks to officers. Training is provided by post-certified SWAT personnel. These were used 3 times during this reporting period. The department did not receive any complaints. California Government Code 7070C12. On this slide, it shows pictures of various gas canisters available to us, along with a 40 millimeter launcher, which can launch gas from a distance. California Government Code 7070C12, pepper ball. These are less lethal weapons that deploy small spheres filled with a chemical irritant. They're used to overcome resistant, violent suspects without the need to use lethal force. Officers are trained by post-certified personnel. Pepper ball was used 4 times during this reporting period. The department did not receive any complaints. California Government Code 7070C12. On this slide, have a picture of a pepper ball launcher and some pepper balls. California Government Code 7070C14. 40 millimeter projectile launchers, beanbag, rubber bullet, and specialty impact munition weapons. Beanbag shotgun and 40 millimeter extended range impact weapon. The police department uses 12 gauge less lethal shotguns and 40 millimeter impact devices. This less lethal device gives officers the ability to address a violent suspect from a safe distance. Increased distance provides for more opportunity to use de-escalation techniques. The less lethal shotgun was used on 1 occasion, while the 40 millimeter was not used. Any deployment, whether or not it makes contact with a subject, is a reportable use of force and is reviewed by the Professional Standards Unit. California Government Code 7070C14. On this slide, there are pictures of the 40 millimeter launchers and munitions, along with the beanbag shotgun and its munitions. Military equipment acquisitions. Government Code 7070 requires the police department to disclose any equipment deemed military equipment under this statute that the department intends to acquire, including the number and type sought during the next reporting period. Military equipment acquisitions, items being sought. The Transcend Robotics Vantage robot. This device is used to enter structures to locate violent, often armed suspects or subjects wanted for violent crimes. This equipment provides safer options for officers to get a view into a building or structure through the robot's camera system and decreases the likelihood of a lethal force encounter. The total cost to purchase this robot is $62,818. This will be paid for using California's Supplemental Law Enforcement Services Fund, also known as SLESF. Military equipment acquisitions, items being sought. 40 millimeter projectile launchers. The department is seeking 19 additional 40 millimeter projectile launchers. These are less lethal tools that allow officers to engage violent, potentially armed suspects from a safe distance, allowing officers to attempt de-escalation techniques. Often, these prevent officers from using lethal force. The addition of these items is intended to increase the availability of this option when needed. The total cost to purchase these 40 millimeter launchers is approximately $51,240, which will be paid using Asset Forfeiture Funds, AFF, and Supplemental Law Enforcement Services Fund, the SLESF. Military equipment acquisitions, items being sought. 40 millimeter rounds, training and live. The department's inventory of 40 millimeter rounds has become depleted over the last year due to expired rounds and use during previous years. The addition of the new 40 millimeter projectile launchers also increases the need for training and live rounds. The total cost to purchase these rounds is $26,232.24 and will be paid using the general fund. Military equipment acquisitions, items being sought. 223 caliber rifles. The department intends to acquire 22 replacement 223 caliber rifles. The rifles currently assigned to the SWAT team are over 20 years old, far exceeding their expected lifespan of 5 to 7 years under SWAT team conditions. These are needed for increased firepower and accuracy in situations that require the ability to engage targets at a longer distance, penetrate barriers, and effectively address threats, while minimizing risks to officers and members of the public. They provide a tactical advantage in addressing high-risk scenarios, such as active shooter situations or dealing with heavily armed suspects. The total cost to purchase these rifles is $57,920 and will be paid using Justice Administration grant funds. This is the end of the Oxnard Police Department's military use report presentation, and I would be happy to answer any questions someone might have. Thank you.